Hey everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comedian and host of Bachelorette Recap, a guy's review. Today I wanted to talk about Josh Bourelle, Tayshia's ex-husband. He just went on the Reality Steve podcast to sort of defend himself from all that has happened in his world regarding Tayshia's season. Yesterday on my live stream, we were talking about some quotes that were taken from this podcast episode, but I really hate it when quotes are pulled out of context, and thought it would be a good idea for me to listen to the episode and then give you guys my opinion. And it was actually way more drama than I thought. I mean, everything Bachelorette related is full of drama, but anyway, Tayshia's ex on the Reality Steve podcast. Let's talk about it. It only gets more juicy the longer it goes, to be completely honest. Some of the quotes from the end of this podcast episode, I couldn't believe. I mean, he threw a lot of daggers. There were a lot of daggers being thrown. He said, in order for her to be in a healthy relationship someday, in my opinion, it's the goal of going on The Bachelor. It's either that or to get Instagram followers. I'm not sure. I mean, this guy knows exactly what he's saying. You know what I mean? This is stuff he's probably been saying to his friends for 2 straight years. Josh said he consciously made decisions not to comment on anything with the show, didn't talk to any tabloids as they all reached out for 2 years. He could have sold his story to TMZ. So this is important to note when he's telling his side of the story. He doesn't have a podcast. He doesn't have something he's trying to sell to people right now by sharing his story. He's just trying to vindicate his name. I don't think he does a great job of doing that. I think there are times when he shows his snark and snide, and by doing that kind of shows that they probably had these fights all the time where they were just kind of throwing little daggers and darts at each other. He said he wanted to clear his name because he's a business owner, and when you Google his name, it's the top story. And look, let me state this right off the bat. Josh has admitted to cheating on Tayshia when they were in a marriage. That is wrong. That is a cardinal sin. I think that's a deal breaker, and that's the end of that story. With that said, it doesn't make him a horrible person for doing a horrible thing. And the way that people in the pitchfork of Bachelor Nation like to treat people is they find out that Tayshia's the hero and they want her ex to be the bad guy. He should have the right to come on and defend himself after having his name put out there and all that jazz. Okay. He then said that they should let each other live their lives and not involve each other in their lives. He says Tayshia talked about being cheated on. It's a sob story, but there are 2 sides to every story. So this is him sharing his side of the story, I guess. Josh wasn't happy with the relationship, didn't feel like he had a partner. You could hear him sniffling too. This wasn't like him just like you could kind of hear that he was kind of like having a hard time getting through what he wanted to say. But up front, he had 3 main things he wanted to say, and he made sure. I'm sure he was reading notes that he wrote. He really wanted to get this across. He said he wasn't happy in the relationship, and he said, I came to the conclusion that I didn't want to raise kids with her. First of all, that's some heavy things to say, but that's just where he was. Josh then opened up and said a major thing that defines a relationship from a friendship is intimacy, and that was seriously lacking in our relationship. I mean, he's opening up as much as you could have expected someone to. I was actually surprised. He said, we're young with a lot of life to live. Why don't we go our separate ways? And I think that was a healthy decision. So they decided to get a divorce. They didn't have any kids. By the way, Tayshia's the first divorced ex that's on the show. Go back to my notes here. And he said, I didn't feel like I had a partner. He opened up and he said, I now have an amazing girlfriend who has shown me what it's like to be in a healthy relationship. It brought a lot of wisdom into my life, the situation I had with Tayshia. I wish her the best. I just don't want to be drugged into the whole mess. These are his quotes. Reality Steve says he assumed it was a multiple-time affair because of the amount of times Tayshia brought up the infidelity. Tayshia was on Colton Underwood's season. Where's he? And, Colton really, deleted himself off of the face of the planet. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm just checking my timer there. We're getting this up late on a Friday afternoon. So anyway, yeah, people thought it was like a multiple-time affair cheater. And look, he cheated. That's not defensible. Whether it's multiple times or a single time, I guess you could defend the lack of morality when it comes to cheating. I guess it's like, all right, you committed a cardinal sin, but did you start other families in other states? Were you doing anything dangerous with prostitutes? I guess there are different levels, but you've crossed the level. That is that binary, yes, it's a good relationship, or no, it's not. I think cheating is a very easy litmus test right there. So you can defend it all you want. So he wanted to say, hey, it was just a one-time thing. But what did we do to get to this point? He said, Josh says that cheating was a single occurrence. He consistently expresses unhappiness in marriage, said he offered to go to therapy and wanted to make the relationship better. He said it may have been a little bit out of spite. She went out of town. I went out with some buddies. I did this thing. She came back from her trip. I came clean about it a few hours into her coming home. I hope he came clean right after. Jesus Christ. By the way, how doesn't this sound like Seinfeld? Like, yada, yada, yada. That's his yada, yada, yada moment. He goes, I went out with my buddies. I did the thing. He did the damn thing, I think is the term. He did the damn thing. He said, I had guilt, but I realized I was wasting my time. From there, they went to therapy. Tayshia put forth an effort after therapy. She put an effort to go to therapy after he cheated on her, which is kind of surprising. It's surprising to me that, this doesn't make him look good. This makes her look good. The fact that she took it so seriously, she wanted to make things work after he cheated. But by the way, my favorite Zach Brown song, I saw Goodbye in Her Eyes. He clearly wanted to move on if he cheated. I think the key to this is break up with your wife if you want to have sex with somebody else. End the relationship first, and none of this would have happened. You're in control of your own destiny, and this alone makes it hard for me to feel sorry for you. You didn't know she would go on to be the Bachelorette and talk about you, never using his name, but nonetheless talked about him. But either way, this is an unfortunate cause and effect of 2020 life. You thought your 2020 was bad. You're not Josh Bourelle. These are his words. He said it may have been out of spite. You don't have sex with somebody when you're married. Okay, there's a little spark note for you there, Steve. He said, I had guilt, but I realized I was wasting my time. So here's their history. He gets into it a little bit, said met her sophomore year of college. They did long distance. They were together for 7 years. He said, I can't fully remember the timeline, to be honest, Steve. This is the most ex-husband thing ever. He's like, look, I wiped the hard drive clean. He's like, I don't know what year we got married. I don't know the date we got divorced. I'm trying to put it on the back burner. Next thing you know, you Google my name. It's all you find out. He said that they moved to Mammoth. They moved from Mammoth to Dana Point because she hated Mammoth. Mammoth is like a ski town, it's in the mountains in California, a couple hours away from Dana Point, which I believe is Dana Point, Orange County, Tasha? I think Tasha's my fiance. That's why I always get Tasha and Tayshia confused. Is Dana Point Orange County? It's like between Orange County and San Diego. It's towards Malibu. Oh, really? Are you sure? Either way, no one cares. The point is that it's closer to the ocean and closer to where she's from, which is Orange County. By the way, get up for Tasha so patiently waiting for me to do this recap. Afterwards, we're going to go to Nimbus Cafe, which is a Harry Potter coffee shop in downtown Los Angeles, and we're going to include that on this year's Vlogmas, which is my daily vlogs for the Christmas channel. Dave, are you using somebody's getting cheated on in Bachelor Nation to promote your Vlogmas channel? I don't know, folks. You be the decision. Links in the description. There's a downvote for me. He said, I didn't feel like she was meeting me halfway, and it was pretty discouraging. I was working very hard and didn't feel that reciprocated by her in any way. So this is where it gets telling. This is where it gets very telling right now, because he starts to open up. He got past his talking points and he's opening up. He says, we moved from Mammoth to Dana Point because she hated it. So he says, and whether it's true or not, this is his own resentment. And he didn't sound too resentful, but he was like, we moved because she didn't like it. We weren't happy there, so we moved. She couldn't find a job, so they moved to Dana Point. He opened up a business. He said he was working like crazy, 12-hour days. This is where it gets interesting, because in his mind, he's thinking, I'm working 12-hour days. I'm trying to provide for you. And in her eyes, she said in other interviews, she wanted more intimacy. So it's like they both wanted intimacy. He's working so hard to provide for her, but he probably didn't realize he's not filling up her love language well, her love well, right? So he's working hard to provide and do all this, but like, honestly, I could see the women's side of this, and I can see Tayshia's side and be like, yeah, I'm glad you worked all hard to build up your profession and this and that, but like, you just left me there. She wanted someone who was going to be, they just weren't on the right wavelength. Love language isn't always about what it takes for you to receive. It's what you need to give your partner. It's reciprocal. So while he thought he was doing the right thing, maybe obviously he has resentment. He said, I didn't feel like she was meeting me halfway, and it was pretty discouraging. Yikes. He said, when we found out she was going on Colton season, I definitely laughed. I was not opposed to it in any way. I think we ended our divorce on a very cordial note. It's funny that he said they laughed. Because she went on Colton season very shortly after the divorce. She's only been divorced now for a couple years, and she has been on Colton season a year and a half ago. The ink wasn't dry on these papers, which, by the way, I'm okay with that. You got a divorce. You made a decision. She's moving on with her life. She should have gone straight to Bachelor in Paradise. You know what I mean? He said, her saying I cheated on her, this is what Josh said, her saying I cheated on her on national TV, I felt she crossed the line. It was hurtful to me. It was my parents' church, my girlfriend's family. I had a lot of explaining to do. Again, Josh, I hate to say it. Tasha, did you want to come in and talk? Tasha's, I love about Tasha. She's in the corner. I warned her before I was recording this video. I was like, I'm going to talk about this guy cheating. Just so you know, I think it's a cardinal sin. I think it's wrong, but we're going to talk about both sides. And Tasha, she's like a contestant on Maury Povich. She's in the background going, he's mad that, look, you cheat on her and you say it's through spite. Expect a scorched earth, my man. You don't know women enough if you don't know she's not scorching that earth. And Tasha, say it on camera if you're going to say it. Tasha's in the background. She said he's not sorry about what he's did. Tasha said he's not sorry about what he's did, but he's sorry that his parents' church found out. Yeah, bro, look, you're not going to get much sympathy from me. You spite cheated on her. Things happen, yada, yada. So anyway, but again, he does admit to making these mistakes. It's just now he doesn't like dealing with the repercussions of an ex who is a national star. And by the way, Tayshia is looking like $1 million. Did you see her at the AMAs or whatever? I mean, they glammed her up to the 10s. She was already a 9.5 in the making, and then she went up to a 10. He said she made just as many mistakes, maybe more in the relationship. It would be refreshing for her to own up to that. Somebody who is open, honest, and transparent versus someone who wants to enhance the truth, to pad her image. Look, Josh. This is ABC. She's owned by ABC, contractually speaking. She might not be padding the image, but they sure are. They don't want it to be a rational breakup. They want it to be like, I was cheated on. Here's my second shot at love. So sorry about that, but these are the papers she signed, and they're taking her along for the ride. She's just on the sleigh. The old ABC reindeer are running off. Like how I worked in some Christmas vlog into that. All right, we're heating up. We're moving on. Let's get through this. He said, and this is interesting, he said, I think she could have went just as far as she did on the show without saying that. Probably true. They do hours of testimonials, so she said it once. She was probably like, all right, well, let's talk about my ex. Sure. She was like, as long as I don't mention his name, it'll be fine. Well, enter a thing called Google. Yeah, he said ABC loves drama and is enhancing it for the viewer, but at the expense of someone who doesn't want to get involved. That's it, my man. And this is the problem we have with, this is one of the issues we do have with like free speech is that, look, you are in the wake of a speedboat. ABC is going down and you're on your little fishing boat and they're going to go right by you legally and they're not going to deal with the recourse because that's what they do on The Bachelor. They smoke people and they just keep on going. So I'm sorry. I do empathize with you over that, but them's the ropes, kid. I hate to say it. Them's the ropes. We'll all have to deal with it in some version someday. Reality Steve said, did she contact you to give you a heads up? And this is the funniest part of the interview because this is so 2020. This is so millennial couples. He goes, we own an Airstream together. I forgot to take her name off the loan. Her lawyer threatened to sue me, so I paid off the loan. How funny is that? We bought this stupid Airstream. We're trying to fix up. Next thing you know, she's banging Colton in the fantasy suite. What's going on with my life? He said, in return, I asked for her great-grandmother's diamond. She finally coughed it up 2 years into the divorce. Hey, very well. I think you're allowed to ask for your great-grandmother's diamond. Tasha, what are your thoughts on that? Does Josh get his diamond back from his great-grandmother? She said, is it their wedding ring? Yeah, I think it's the engagement ring. I think Josh proposed with his great-grandmother's diamond. I think it's the good thing to do is give it back. It's like it's not worth anything inherently. It's just, a nice heirloom, would you say? Tasha says you're legally required to, just come over here. She said you're legally required to give the ring back if you don't make it to marriage. But because they were married, she doesn't have to give it back. But morally, it's good that she did. It's like, why? People, when they get divorced, sell the rings and split the profit. I say throw it into a lake. You have insurance? Moving along. Some heart of the sea stuff. It's like that old lady from the Titanic. All right. R.I.P. Is she alive? Moving it. He said she texted me an apology, which looked like it was written by a lawyer, not by her. I do think it was messed up. My name ended up on TV without my consent. So what happened was, in the closed caption of one of the episodes, they put Josh's name in the subtitles in the closed caption. As it turns out, this was a mistake made by the local affiliate, but it led to all these rumors that Tayshia's ex, Josh Bourelle, was going to come onto the show. So it dragged him into the show even without his consent. It's one thing to talk about your ex. It's another to put his name in print on closed caption. I mean, I don't know if that's a lawsuit. I'm sure you're allowed to do that, but morally, it's like, come on, what are we doing? Chris Harrison and Tayshia took to their social medias to say Josh won't be on the show. It was a local mistake. We apologize, blah, blah, blah. Just called to talk about a stupid incident that popped up on a media promo. I found out about it and I'm livid because there's no reason you should be brought up in this. I never once said I'm sorry. This is what Tayshia texted him. So this is a text message that Tayshia sent to her ex, Josh. Sorry about that. She said, just called to talk about a stupid incident that popped up on a media promo. I just found out about it and I'm livid because there's no reason you should be brought up in this. I never once said your name and wanted you to know. I've always made it known that none of this has to do with you and I've always protected personal information. I'm sorry if this has caused outlets to reach out. We're dealing with it on our end. If it gets worse, let me know and I'll step up once again to tell everyone to respect your privacy. Regardless of everything, I want you to be happy. I don't want my finding my happiness to affect yours. Then Josh said, if she really is happy, she shouldn't involve me in the show in any way. Josh said it was his current girlfriend's idea to contact Reality Steve, wanted to clear his name a little bit. He's not all that bad of a person. It's refreshing to talk to someone who isn't trying to create more drama out of the situation. This is Josh talking about Reality Steve. He called Reality Steve down to earth, and it mentioned it was 100% Josh's girlfriend's decision. So here's my final who cares opinion on the situation. Josh, you were in the wrong for cheating, and anything that happens after that, as long as Tayshia's not lying or slandering you, them's the ropes, bro. I also think you have the right to talk to Reality Steve. You have the right to pursue your side of the story. The truth lies between A and B. The truth lies between Tayshia and Josh. It sounds like you were a workaholic who wanted to please her in a way that you couldn't. It just wasn't something you could do. Again, this is all I'm discerning from listening to the Reality Steve podcast. I'll put the link to the Reality Steve podcast below. Go check it out. It's interesting, but it's kind of redundant. Obviously, he wants to be treated fairly. I do think the pendulum swings too far. I think Bachelor Nation, just like any groups that are in this culty group think, I think they go way too far to immediately take Tayshia's side of the story, not realizing everyone's human, everyone makes mistakes. Josh did mention that he thinks they're both stronger because of it. So it's one of those things that sucks. It sucks he cheated on her. It sucks. All these things suck. But in the end, it seems like she's happier, he's happier, and I think you can move on from it. If anyone wants to watch the live stream, you can click a link in the description. I've got the live stream from us talking about it yesterday, but I just wanted to do you guys the service where I hate the internet when we just spout things without knowing the full context. I wanted to give you guys the service of me actually listening to the podcast and breaking it down. So anyways, that's it from me. If anyone wants to check out my vlogs, I've got Christmas vlogs every single day. Today we're going to see the Nimbus Cafe, the Harry Potter Cafe, and get some coffees. We had the vlogs from finding our tree in Southern California, the $600 tree. We didn't buy that one. Decorating the tree, taking our do-it-yourself Christmas photos, trying out Dunkin' Donuts coffee, trying out Starbucks. We got all these cross-country road trip. It's all on there, so go enjoy those vlogs. And thanks again. Leave a comment below and let me know what you guys think about this whole scenario. Are you seeing Tayshia in a different light now, or are you like me who understand, like, look, I'm sure Tayshia's just as flawed as the rest of them, but ABC's going to polish that flaw as much as they want and release their product. I say kudos to Josh for going on a podcast and not selling his story, but actually going on a podcast trying to vindicate his name. And by vindicate his name, I would say I would trust Josh in a business dealing, but I wouldn't want my daughter to date him. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I would be at. Not that I have a daughter, and whatever. You understand my point. Like he doesn't sound like he is a great guy morally. He sounds like he's got a lot of bitterness towards it all. But hey, who doesn't have that with past relationships? Interview one of my exes. They're going to tell you, oh, he was emotional, he was needy, he was this, he was that. But hopefully they still watch my vlogs. All right, that's it. Bye, guys.